welcome to this month's edition of KineXions. I'm here this month with my good friend Ray Zahab, adventurer and founder of Impossible to Possible. Thanks for joining us, Ray.
Thanks for having me here, dude. I'm excited.
Excellent.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, this is 2017 is a big year for Canada. It's a big year for you. What do you have going on this year?
Canada 150, very exciting year. I just got back from an Arctic expedition. I spent 30 days in the Canadian Arctic, crossing 3 regions, the northeastern, the central, and the western Arctic. And I did this with 3 different disciplines. So, as you know, as Canadians, we get out in the winter and we do things, right? So we're skiing, we're snowshoeing, we're fat biking now. For anybody that hasn't heard of fat bikes are customized mountain bikes with big tires and studs on the tires, very grippy tires so that you can go through the snow. So I wanted to do something, a big project this year that wasn't necessarily running based, but was more a celebration of what we do in winter as Canadians. So I crossed these 3 regions of the Arctic on snowshoe, fat bike, and on ski.
That's
so
amazing.
It's been a great start to the year. 30 days up in the Arctic, doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I've got a big youth expedition through Impossible to Possible.
Okay.
Our foundation, where we take kids on expeditions that are running based all over the world.
Yeah. Where's this year's expedition?
Well, because Canada 150.
Yeah.
We're rolling right from this Arctic project in this deal where these kids are coming, 6 kids from around the world. They're going to land in Vancouver, and they're going to run in every province and territory, 13 of them, over the course of a few weeks. They're going to run in all provinces and territories and do something that's culturally, appropriate for that area, like an event or an activity. Like, so when they're in Whitehorse, they're going to paddle the Yukon. When they're in Winnipeg, they're going to visit the new Human Rights Museum. So they're going to be doing things. Edmonton, Oilers hockey, right? So they're going to do all these different things that are very Canadian on their journey across Canada.
Sounds amazing.
It's good times.
Sounds amazing. So is there additional training for you for this year, or do you just have a regular training regime?
I'm right back into it. Into it because I finished this expedition across the Arctic, and now I'm preparing for my 2018 expeditions. So I take a year to prepare and train for one thing. Now, when I was racing ultras and mountain bike racing, I was racing frequently. So ultra marathons, I was doing 4 or 5 big races a year. When I was mountain bike racing, I was doing, I can't even remember how many races in a season.
Right.
But with expeditions, it takes me an entire year to prepare for one thing. Because I could be, for example, in the case of the Gobi Desert, I ran over 2,000 kilometers across the Gobi, somewhere between 60 and 70K a day. When we ran across the Sahara, 7,500K in 111 days. So it takes a year to get ready for these things. My next big project is I'm going to start in Angola and run to South Africa, to the border across Namibia. So it's the Namib Desert, famously known as the Skeleton Coast, full of shipwrecks and all this amazing stuff. So that's a long way. It's 2,000. 2,000K again seems to be a number that keeps reoccurring. And I'm training now for it. And so as part of my training, of course, is recovery. This is why you and I have become good friends over the years.
Right.
I've been coming to see you since, before you were the offices where it is now. It was just a small little spot there.
Yeah.
And you were helping me out with stuff, and I've been learning through the years and applying these things. And so, if you recover, you can train. And that's the thing that people forget.
Right.
Any great training program has a recovery program associated with it.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of focus on recovery lately, and not just professional help, whether through therapy or chiropractic or something like that, but a lot of people are trying to do some things at home. What do you do at home to help wade with your other recovery methods?
Well, the number one thing is a periodized training program. So what that means is, for people that aren't really sure what that means, it means a cyclical training program. So you've got periods of time in your training when you're doing more volume, let's say, or you're focused on strength and power, and then, that sort of thing. So my training has got peaks and valleys in it.
Okay.
But always the consistent line across it is the recovery. So there are modalities of recovery. So when I'm done a long run or a long mountain bike, I'm stretching. I've got a stretching program that works for me.
Yep.
But I'm using resources, things that I've learned here that are very effective. Some things that people would have perhaps never thought of. Using a massage stick like this. What's so great about these kind of things is you can get in and work the muscles, your hamstrings, your quads, your glutes, your calves, less of a problem for me, but mainly quads and IT band. And what I like about this thing in particular is it's got different amounts of, I guess you'd say like hardness, right? And so you can apply differing pressures to keep things rolled out. That's a term that everybody uses, rolled out, and it comes from using a roller like these. Like, there's a million iterations of this, from a foam roller So I'm
You see them everywhere. You see them at the gym. You see
them everywhere.
I saw my daughter's volleyball team. They take them with them to games, and they roll between games.
Well, and by doing that, you sort of, when you learn these things, you've got a bunch of tools at your disposal. It's like, you know, you're not going to use a screwdriver to turn a nut that you need a wrench for, right?
Right.
So you're using the tools that you need at the time, what you feel you need to maintain, and depending on how hard you're working. I like this one because it's got ridges in it and stuff, and so this is actually the one that I use when
and
I'm
you
at
would do
home.
this in addition to treatment,
In addition,
right? Yeah.
in addition to treatment, I'm doing ART, active release technique, in heavy training periods at least once a week.
Yeah.
You know, I'm obviously, I eat as healthy as I can. You know the term eating clean. I try to eat as healthy as I can. And that's not, you've got kids. I've got kids. It's not so hard when you've got kids because you want to feed your kids, right?
Right.
So you in turn end up eating right most of the time. That's that happens. But you got to work at recovery. You got to work at it because it's not something that you just say, well, I'm going to do this, and you know what? It's the thing that always gets left behind, but it's the critical piece.
Well, we've been dealing with the Canadian Olympic team and a number of other pro teams and things for years. And the nice thing about those guys is they've got budgets. They can use anything they want for their athletes to get better. But what we're seeing lately is an introduction of more technological products into recovery, even in home use.
Yeah.
Right? Or athletes on their own. And you've started to use some of those things recently.
Yeah, now again, you know, that comes to, you know, it's like there's this budget perspective, right? You're either starting at a point where, you know, entry level, you're using a foam roller and you're picking that, or you're using, you know, the smaller ball to roll out on, that thing's called. And then, or the sticks. And then, you know, you're moving up from there. And then, you know, at the higher end of recovery is like the recovery pump boots or a Compex. And even with the, and I'll explain what that is, but with the Compex, you've got varying degrees from entry level right on up. And with the Compex it's a device that's a TENS device. So anybody that's ever done physiotherapy, had an injury, and you go to the physio and they put those electric pads on and they run little tingly electric shocks through. What the Compex does is it's muscle stim. So you've got two actions, a dual action, a TENS and a muscle stim. Now I'm not exactly sure how the technology works, but I can tell you this. When I'm using those things on my quads, and I am very skeptical with stuff, and I try to, you know, approach it with very much a good, healthy dose of skepticism. I'm amazed at how much faster I'm recovering. And I've been telling my running friends about this, but it's like the best kept secret that everybody knows about already. You know, track athletes, pro sports teams, they're all using stuff like that. And so having the opportunity to try it out with you guys here at Kinematics and experiment with it, I can tell you that stuff actually really does work. And so do the recovery pump boots. So if anybody's ever seen hip waders when you go fishing, basically they're like pulling on hip wader boots, where they open at the bottom, and then you turn on this generator and it fills them full of air. So your legs are like in these air casts, and then they go on and squish your legs, and then they go off. And
we call it intermittent compression.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
All I know is it makes my legs feel good. So you know that.
It's not a new premise. Basically, it's allowing an increase in blood flow to hopefully take the bad byproducts from your exercise out a little bit quicker and allow you to recover a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
and so you found that's a difference.
And you know, for me, it's a huge difference. And I think that those technological pieces that they're introducing into recovery. First of all, I think it's fascinating that people are investing so much money and resources into recovery. You know, there seems to be a million devices out there that are all about making you fitter, but you never hear as much about those devices that make you recover better, right?
Yes.
So in trying those, it's really eye-opening. It actually is. I mean, I was really surprised, especially with the Compex, at how much it helped to recover. And with the muscle stim programs, I'm able to use it in my strength training as well. So it's dual purpose.
Yes.
I can use it for recovery, but I can also use it while I'm strength training to activate muscle fibers after injury that perhaps have become lax.
Yeah, and the Compex is great for home use because they have a whole line that's designed just for home use. And they made it very simple. You don't have to worry about parameters. You really don't need to know what you're doing. You need to know if you're trying to stim, or if you're trying to train muscles, or if you're trying to recover. It's all set up really easy.
Oh yeah, totally. Because when I looked at I'm a bit of a dummy. And when I looked at the manual, I was like, forget it. There's more than 8 pages. I'm not reading it, right?
Right.
But once you turn it on, and you told me that, once you turn it on, it kind of just it tells you. You just do A to B to C to D, and it works out. So I was surprised at how quickly the learning curve is really
Oh,
quick.
that's great.
Yeah.
We'll have more of that on our website for all the products we talked about. People can go there and see that. I'd like to thank you. Take the time coming in today. If people want to see more about what you're doing this year, where can they see that?
Best thing to do is my Facebook page. It's
Yep.
just, I have an official page, just my name, and it's got a little crazy blue check beside my name. That's the one you want. I'm posting there all the time. And I have a website, but mainly we're using Facebook and Instagram now.
Perfect. Ray, thanks very much.
Thank
man.
you, sir.
Good to see you.
Cheers.